Hello, everyone. Go ahead and come up. There you are. I'm Paul Sprizzi. I'm the programming director for the Mammoth Lakes Film Festival, and I'm so happy to be here with some of our filmmakers, most of our filmmakers. So we have, let's see, we have Mehdi Fard Gaderi from Simple Pleasures. Are you there, Mehdi? Come on. If you,
Yes.
there you are.
Hi.
Hello, welcome.
Hi. Nice to meet
And
you.
let's see, and we have who else is here? We have Nir Berger. Hello, Nir.
Hi.
Welcome. Hi. And we have Jan David Bolt from Switzerland. So nice. And we have Kimia Bepurnia here is our interpreter, a Farsi interpreter for Mehdi. So thank you. So thank you for joining us, Kimia. Kimia is also has a film in our next short block coming up later on today called Marriage Counseling for Friends, and but luckily she speaks Farsi, so she's going to interpret for us.
I'll do my best.
Cool. So let's get started with Nero. Jan, tell us a little bit about where did you get the idea for this film, and who are you there with, by the way?
That is Lara. She did scenography. Yeah, she joined me. Yeah, Nero. Well, what I tried to do was to come up with a Christmas tale for the whole family, and I think I failed miserably in doing that. No, I think the idea was just like I had it a year ago when I was brainstorming with a couple of friends, and I thought it would never be possible to actually do it with no money. But then I did. I took the basement of my parents' house and just built a little laboratory in there, and yeah, that kind of worked.
Yeah. So what was it like? I mean, it actually looks it's a very polished film. The costume is amazing. The whole the set itself is really impressive. What was it like bringing it all together?
It was a lot of fun, I have to say, because we were basically in this basement, me and a friend of me, and we were just playing around with stuff I ordered from the internet or that I found lying around somewhere in that basement. It was an old house. They had some rusty pipes, and I don't know, we played around. We had some plastic pipes and we just stuck them into different other things. And yeah, and I bought a lot of vegetables and I just, placed them so that it would look like a little greenhouse. And in the movie, then yeah, it kind of worked, I think. It was
Totally
figuring
works.
stuff out because I had no money for that thing, basically. It was just like, I don't know, like $300 or $400. That was enough to feed the crew, I guess.
Really, because it looks amazing. It's really such an impressive film. Well, what was it like for your actor to be sweating in that costume?
Well, when I wrote this thing, I was thinking that, okay, this is pure fiction. This would never work in real life. But when he was actually in this full body suit, he was sweating like crazy. He was actually producing a lot of sweat that we could have then turned into salt somehow, I guess. It worked better than I hoped for, actually. And we did shoot it during winter, so it was pretty cold down there. So he kind of had to run, not to freeze, which helped in a way, but also made him pretty exhausted at times. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the outdoor scene too. The both actresses are just wonderful. I guess, how did you work with them? And tell us a little bit about the young actress too, that she kind of sells the whole movie.
She was beautiful, actually. Yeah, I was completely amazed by her. Like I could actually direct her like an adult. She was even better than some adult actors and actresses I have worked with, I think. She was really smart and fast. And the other two, one of them was my flatmate at that time, like the guy who placed Nero. and the other one was a friend of his who studied actor. I want to say Schauspiel. Studied acting in Zurich. Yeah, and they kind of just worked together. I thought they had this brother sister thing somehow. Yeah, it added a bit of weird tension, I'd say.
That's funny. So tell us about you. Obviously, shooting in very tight spaces. What was it like to actually shoot this film?
Well, it was smelly because we were in a small room and it got hot and then cold again. And the vegetable, and we had some earth there as well. So it smelled like it was this weird chemical mix out of, I don't know, sweat, old vegetable, hummus that got warmer, and then the whole crew who was also down there breathing and sweating, and it was, yeah, taste was not so nice. It was nicer shooting at the small Christmas market in Zurich. That was cold for him once more because he had to undress his pants to show his to show his feet in that bucket once more. Yeah, but we were a small crew, so it works when you are just like, I don't know, 4 or 5 people.
Yeah. Well, great work, and nice to chat with you about it. Yeah, let's. I was just about to move on to Mehdi. Can you come back? Well, let's give him a minute. Mehdi, are you there? Are you still there? Okay, well let's come back to Mehdi. So let's talk about touch. What a funny and disturbing film. Tell us, can you tell us how you became so well acquainted with the texting habits of teenagers?
I can't say that I really am, but I try to sort of cross-reference what I could. Some teens that I knew and would let me peek in their phones and would give me some feedback as to what sounds kind of real and what doesn't. And some of me just making up this kind of language-based, just riffing off that truth and making something that I found that felt real. So it's somewhere in between, I guess. I'm glad that it feels real, and that it sort of translating it to doing the English subtitles for this was probably the worst part of the experience of making the whole film, because it was impossible.
Actually, the subtitles were amazing. How did you go about finding the whole English language for this?
So that was just a lot of talking to American friends and asking, like, if does this make sense as a replacement for that, and just trying to explain what kind of horrible thing the characters were doing in Hebrew, and trying to find an equivalent in English. And yeah, it was, and trying to force the people doing the subtitles not to do like any capital letters and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it really, that was, I mean, obviously the whole film kind of hinges on that. So great work.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your lead actress. She's really so amazing, and I guess the challenges of making a film without any spoken dialogue.
Yeah, Netta was amazing. She was. We had this really weird auditioning process because the film doesn't have any spoken dialogue, so the script sort of had those pieces of text. And when we started auditioning, then actresses would come in and we would let them read it out loud as though it were spoken text. But then we figured out that doesn't really tell us anything about how they would come off in the movie. So at some point we started bringing in actresses and then just telling them, okay, sit down, pick up your phone. And we started texting with them and just shooting their reactions and looking to see if anything interesting is going on their faces. And that's obviously really, really difficult. But Netta, the moment she came into the room, there was so much going on her face when she was reacting to anything we were texting her. So we knew she must be the one. And I think she's doing an amazing job. And she's, she was actually 17. She's 18, 19 now, and she's working a lot. And I expect great things will come from her.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the script and writing in this character who's actually experiencing bombings, and is that something that the people, you're a teacher, right?
I'm sorry, I taught not actively.
Oh, okay. But you've been obviously in contact with teenagers to research this, or
I taught a bit, and just like friends and family. Where obviously I don't live in Syria, and that was always like an issue of how do we deal with that really serious issue in a way that doesn't sort of use it in a way that we don't feel comfortable with. But since the film is ultimately, I feel it's not about that. It's not about any specific occurrence as much as it is about empathy. And it's always striking for me how, like, living in Israel, we lived so close to Syria, and for a decade, there's such horrors going on there, but no one here, that's never reported here. That's insane to me. So that kind of lack of empathy, I was trying to echo that into the lack of empathy that teens sort of feel.
Yeah. So do you know, is that a thing where teenagers kind of like make friends across the borders, or have you come across that?
I'm not sure if that's a real thing, but I do know that when I needed to get like permits to use the photos from Syria, so I was texting a lot of Syrian kind of groups for human rights, and they were really sweet, and we started texting about it, and it sort of turned out that I kind of made friends in Syria just through the production process of this. So that was kind of sweet.
Amazing. Okay, well, thank you so much for telling us about your film. Let me see if we can get a hold of Mehdi. Mehdi, are you here? Can you hear us? I think
yes. Hi.
Oh. Hello, welcome back, Mehdi. So thanks so much for sharing your film with us. And can you tell us what brought up the idea of making this film? And we can, if you want to speak in Farsi, we can, Kimia is here to interpret for you.
مهدی من اینجا اگه چیزی میخوای، اگه چیزی نفهمیدی آقای پال گفته یا جوابتو تو فارسی بگی، من بهش میتونم تو انگلیسی بگم. فارسیم بد نیست.
سلام، خیلی خوشبختم. فکر کنم اگه فارسی بگم میتونم تندتر حرف بزنم.
اوکی باشه.
یه عذرخواهی از طرف من بکن، بهشون بگو که زوم توی ایران فیلتر، من با فیلتر شکن وارد میشم، مثلا همین قطع ممکنه بشه.
Okay. Paul, he said that he's having a little bit of filter trouble and there might be a delay because he's in Iran. So he just wanted to apologize for that right off the top there.
Yeah, so oh, no, we're not hearing.
خب سوالش در مورد ایده لذت‌های گناه‌آلود بود، درسته؟
بله.
در واقع من همه فیلمایی که ساختم فیلمای اکسپریمنتال و فیلمای تجربی بوده. تیکه بگم فکر کنم بهتر باشه تا بخوام.
Oh, okay. He says that all the movies he makes are generally more experimental like this. And he's going to talk in pieces, so I'm going to just translate as he goes.
تو دوتا فیلم بلندی که ساختم، جاودانگی و بی‌وزنی، بیشتر پلان‌های طولانی استفاده کردم ولی تو فیلم‌های کوتاه هم به خاطر اینکه فشار سرمایه گذار و بازگشت پول و این حرفا نیست، بیشتر سعی می‌کنم که تجربه کنم.
He's made 2 other feature-length longer films, and he has used more effects in the storytelling. But for this shorter film, you have less time and you have less things that you can do within the time limits. So he was working with what he has in a shorter form.
ایده لذت‌های گناه‌آلود هم برمیگشت به قبل اینکه اصلا وارد سینمای بلند بشم، ولی بعدش خیلی شک داشتم که این فیلم خوبه فیلم بلند بشه اصلا یا فیلم کوتاه. و چون سینمای فانتزی خیلی کم کار میشه تو سینمای ایران، ژانر فانتزی خیلی کم کار میشه، تصمیم گرفتم که اندازه یه فیلم کوتاه در واقع این قصه رو تعریف کنم.
He was debating whether he should make this a feature length or a shorter film, and then he was thinking that there's not a lot of fantasy films in Iran that are feature length that they show in the cinemas or that exist anyway. So he was thinking that if he was going to make a short and the idea happened to be a fantasy, that those 2 ideas would work together perfectly.
Great. Fantastic. So can you tell us a little bit about the film has this very big theatrical style, and what was it like working with the actors and getting the tone that you wanted from them?
خب کیمیا جان اینو ترجمه کن واسم.
اوکی باشه. گفته که اونجوری که فیلمو درست کردی، سینا و این چیزا که تیکه تیکه گذاشته بودی با هم توی فیلم، می‌خواسته بدونه ایده از کجا گرفتی و با اکتورا با بازیگرا چطوری گفتین بهشون که فیلمتون اینجوری شکلش اینجوری میشه، چون که وقتی داره فیلم میکنیم اکتورها نمیدونن که میخوای چجوری ادیت کنی و این چیزا. ایده از کجا گرفتی؟
من تا وقتی فیلم تموم میشه هیچ کدوم از بازیگرا در جریان فرم فیلم قرار نمیگیرن و همیشه بعد اینکه فیلم تموم میشه تازه متوجه میشن که چه فرمی در واقع تو فیلم قرار استفاده بشه. من از هوش بازیگر فقط همینقدر استفاده میکنم که شخصیتش رو بهش توضیح بدم و دیالوگاش رو بهش بگم. اصلا در مورد ساختار فیلم با بازیگر صحبت نمیکنم.
He's talking about it was interesting working with the actors because he didn't tell them how it was going to end up, the form of it, because the editing is really cool with all the boxes, but he didn't bother mentioning that to the actors. He just wanted them to know the tone, the feelings, and the dialogue. And then basically when they see the movie, it's the first time they figure out how he was ever going to put it all together.
یکی از فیلم‌های کوتاهی که من ساختم کل فیلم توی آینه اتفاق می‌افتاد. یکی از فیلم‌های کوتاهی که ساختم از آخر به اول روایت می‌شد. یکی از فیلم‌های کوتاهی که ساختم فقط دیتیل دیده می‌شد، دیتیل لب و چشم و گوش و اینها.
I guess he's saying that he loves to work with the way a short film is watched, because he's made one film where it was all in a mirror, everything was shot through a mirror. He's done another film where it was backwards, so you see that from the end to the beginning, and then another film where it was just like small bits of shots, so like lips, nose, eyes, and then that's how you do the storytelling. So he's just in
و سه تا فیلم‌های کوتاه دیگه‌ای که ساخته بودم پلان سکانس بود.
من پلان سکانس رو نمیدونم یعنی
one shot
okay باشه. And he's made 3 other films that are just one shot, so he just likes to mess with the way films
در نتیجه لذت‌های گناه‌آلود ادامه در واقع منطقی همین روند فیلمسازی بود و ایده هایی که دارم نمیتونم بگم دقیقاً ایده این فیلم از کجا اومده، چون تمام ایده هایی که دارم ایده های تجربیه و فیلم کلاسیک جذابیتی نداره. یعنی میگردم اول فرم رو پیدا میکنم که چه فرمی دوست دارم، بعد بر اساس فرمه حالا یه قصه ای رو پیدا میکنم. یعنی این نیست که یه قصه داشته باشم بعد برم فرمش رو پیدا کنم، همیشه یه فرمایی میاد تو ذهنم که بر اساس اون فرمه حالا میگردم یه قصه ای پیدا کنم.
Cool. He's talking about how he doesn't have a story in mind first. He actually picks like in what form he wants to tell a story with the camera and cinematography and editing and things like that. And then he will think of a story that goes with that. So that's how he made this film as well. He had the form idea first and then found a story that would fit.
در مورد نحوه فیلم برداریش هم اینو بگم که در واقع ما سر صحنه اندازه قابایی که می‌خواستیم، یعنی قاب مربع، قاب مستطیل، قابای اسپلیتی که می‌خواستیم درست کنیم، همون رو توی در واقع ویزور دوربین اعمال می‌کردیم. و اگه جای مثلا مستطیل عمودیه، ما دوربین رو مستطیل می‌کردیم و ضبط می‌کردیم و خیلی تجربی بود، چون نمونهش رو ندیده بودم و بچه‌هام نمی‌دونستن. خیلی تجربی این کار کردیم که ببینیم چی میشه.
Okay. He also wanted to mention that when they were shooting like the different frames, their square frames or the long frames, horizontal, vertical, they had to decide that when they were shooting, and they didn't know what it was going to look like. They hadn't worked with something like that before, so the experimental nature of making this film was also very exciting.
Yeah, and I actually wanted to ask about that because we show a lot of Iranian films at the Mammoth Film Festival, and it's fascinating to us because we always hear about Iran being a very repressive society, but the films we see are so they're very different. They feel very free and free-spirited and very experimental, and I wonder where is that coming from the schools in Iran, or is there like a whole independent filmmaking scene there? What's it like in Iran? I'm just so curious.
پا میگه که اینجا تو ترنسلیت کنم.
تقریبا فهمیدم که منظورش چیه که میگه فیلم‌های ایرانی اغلبا اجتماعی و ایناست. ببین سینمای رایج ایران به خاطر برخورد فستیوال‌ها، فیلمسازان خیلی سعی میکنن که بدبختی‌های جامعه ایرانی رو نشون بدن، مشکلات جامعه ایرانی رو نشون بدن، ولی من با این دیدگاه مشکل دارم.
He says that a lot of the cinema that is out in Iran is about like despair and, you know, like struggles of the people that are there, and he personally doesn't want to tell stories like that, or is like doesn't feel like that is what he can use the cinema for.
ما هیچ وقتی یه فیلم امریکایی رو میبینیم نمیگیم فیلم آمریکایی خوبی بود به خاطر اینکه بدبختی‌های جامعه آمریکا نشون میداد. میگیم یه فیلم آمریکایی خوب بود به خاطر اینکه فرمش خوب بود، قصهش خوب بود و سینما بود. من تلاش دارم میکنم که خارج از این که دارم تو کجای دنیا زندگی میکنم، که متاسفانه شاید الان دارم تو ایران زندگی میکنم، خارج از این قصه تعریف کنم و سوء استفاده نکنم در واقع از بدبختی‌های اجتماعی که دارم توش زندگی میکنم.
He's saying that when you watch an American film, you don't think about like, oh, that's what it's like to be in America because that's an American film and that's what that means. They sort of extend beyond what the films are about. And so he's like, I'm making films to use the forms, to experiment with the cinematography, to tell different stories that can be from anywhere. So you can't tell from the film who made the film or where it's from or what it is. It's just a story and a piece of art.
البته که هر فیلمسازی متأثر فضای جامعهشه، در نتیجه توی اینجور فیلم‌ها میشه با نماد یه چیزایی رو گفت و در واقع با اون سمبولی که تو نشون میدی، اون رئیس گاوداری سمبل یه قسمتی از این جامعه است که داره حق بقیه رو میخوره و اون کارگر سمبل یه قسمت عظیمی از این جامعه است که داره حقش خورده میشه و حالا اون آدم ضعیفه سعی میکنه مقابل اون کسی که داره بهش زور میگه بیسته. اما اینو خیلی دوست دارم داد بزنم، این یه سمبل، یه نمادیه که ممکنه تماشاگر خارجی متوجهش بشه یا نشه.
But that's not to say that the films that he makes aren't without symbolism or hinting at things like struggles like that, like the boss of the dairy farm in his film, and the powers that he has versus the struggle of the dairy farm worker, and the symbolism of how he can't speak. Like those are present in films that he makes, but I guess it goes back to what he said. He's here for the form of it, and then the stories come later, and if it happens to say something, that's what it says, but that's not the biggest goal of making movies.
Great.
اوکی. فکر کنم آره گفت که دیگه حالا توضیح زیادی نداره.
It's okay. حالا ببینیم آقا پال چی میگه. He's like, I hope I don't answer and take up too much time, is basically what he was saying.
Oh, it's a pleasure to hear from you. Yeah, so let's just go through and find out what everyone's up to next. Jan, David, what are you working on?
Right now, I'm working on another short movie. Well, I will probably send it to you guys in the next edition. It's about a guy who steps on a snail and loses his mind. I'm going to say that much.
That's a great title. I can't wait. Yeah, Nir, what about you?
I'm a TV series I co-wrote is shooting right now, attempting to shoot under COVID. So hopefully that comes out sometimes in 2021.
Okay, what's the TV series and what's it like to shoot in Israel right now?
It's about military boot camp for women. It's a dramedy, and it's impossible to shoot in Israel just as much as anywhere else. But we're the first, one of the first countries in the world to go into second lockdown yesterday. But somehow film productions are considered essential workers, luckily. So we're just hoping no one gets infected and praying pretty much.
Well,
It's crazy.
Good luck. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And Mehdi, what are you working on next?
Okay, I answer English.
Great.
I wanna start my long movie. It's a episodic movie and about 6 Iranian filmmaker that they want make film and how solve some problem.
Great. Well, thank you all so much for joining us and talking about your beautiful films. It's great to have you here, and that's our Q&A. And for people watching, we have another shorts program coming up 2:30. So bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.